Hi, I'm Ken Butel from the Vitamix Technical Service Department, and today we're going to go over how to change your blade assembly in several different Vitamix containers. I'm going to start out with the advanced container. The first thing we want to do is remove the lid, and we want to grab a hold of something that's we can grab the blade with. We don't want to cut our fingers. I've just grabbed a towel here from the Culinary Center. What we'll do is try to get a good solid grip on it. We want to use this wrench if possible. This is something that you can purchase from Vitamix. It's called a blade nut wrench or retainer nut wrench. And what we're going to do is engage the wrench into the bottom of the nut, and we're going to push down until that nut comes loose. We can then grab hold of it and spin it off. Sometimes the nuts get a little bit tight and they get stuck in there, or the blade gets tight and gets stuck in there, and we have to give it a little bit of a touch. This one seems like it's a little tight. So I'm going to go ahead and use the back of the wrench and just drop it out of there. Okay, so again, we're going to have a look at the blade, make sure that everything looks okay with it. This is the new one that we're going to install. And before I do that, I'm going to take a look at the container on the bottom. I want to make sure that I don't see any cuts or any kind of, imperfections in the bottom. There is a small clock that's on the bottom here. This indicates when the production when this container was produced, and there's a T on the side which indicates to me that this is made from Triton material. So again, all I want to do now is I want to go ahead and grab my new blade assembly with a bit of a towel or a rag. We're going to go ahead and stick it up inside there, make sure that the flat sides are aligned with the container. Take our retainer nut. We're going to slowly start it on by hand. We want to be sure we don't cross thread that. All right, now we can grab our retainer nut wrench and we can go ahead and tighten it up. Get it good and tight. And then what I suggest you do is maybe fill it up with a little bit of water, put it on a paper towel, and you can make sure that there's no leaks and nothing's wrong. Once you've established that everything's okay, you go ahead and put this container back into production. Okay, next we're going to take the blade assembly out of the tall 64-ounce container. This has a wet blade on it. This would be a typical container like you would find on our VitaPrep or VitaPrep 3 models. Now this wet blade has a little bit sharper points on it, so we want to be careful again to use something to protect our hand. I'm going to go ahead and grab that blade assembly, stick the retainer nut wrench into the nut, and push down. Once we have it loose, we can take it off by hand. Now this blade looks like it's stuck in here a little bit, so what I like to do is take the back side of the wrench and just give this a little bit of a touch to get it out of there to free it up. Want to take a look at the bottom of the container once again and make sure that we don't have any cracks or imperfections. Good time to take a look at what the blade, what the date is on the container to see if it might be time to change it. Once we establish that the container is in good shape, I would also take a look at the retainer nut and make sure that this orange seal is in good shape and make sure there's no imperfections or problems with the nut. And again, we're going to grab a hold of this blade assembly with some type of a towel to put it into the container. Line it up. Push it through there. And we're going to hand tighten it up, start it by hand. Start to feel those little bumps. Those are the detents that are there for locking. Finish tightening it up. Once you have the blade tightened into the container, put a little bit of water in it, put it on a paper towel, make sure it's not leaking, and go ahead and put it back into production. The last container we're going to change the blade assembly on is from our XL. It's a similar process to the others, it's just a little bit bigger. So we're going to be careful, once again, when we handle the blade assembly. This one is particularly large and has some sharp ends, so we want to be sure we protect our hands. Same retainer nut wrench we used before. Same process, slowly take it off. This one seems like it's a little stuck, so we'll take the back side of the wrench. We're going to give it a little bit of a hit to get it out of there. Check the bottom of the container to make sure we don't have any cracks in the bottom. And it looks like it's in good shape. Once we've established that, take a look at the retainer nut and make sure that the orange O-ring or the orange dust ring is in good shape. So we'll grab a hold of the new blade assembly. There's an O-ring on here. We want to be sure that O-ring stays intact. Grab it with our protective cloth, line it up, start the nut by hand. And be sure we don't cross thread it. Take our retainer nut wrench, tighten it up. And much like we did before, put a little bit of water in it, put it on a towel, make sure it's not leaking, put it back in production. If you have any questions on anything I've talked about today with how to change the blade assemblies, please feel free to call our commercial tech support line at Vitamix. We're always happy to help.